For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Hundreds are protesting the inauguration of Benjamin Netanyahu and the swearing-in of Israel's most far-right government in the country's history. Protesters were waving Israeli flags and LGBTQ rainbow flags in protest of the Zionist anti-LGBTQ members of Netanyahu's coalition, which has put West Bank settlement expansion as one of its priorities. It's likely to escalate tensions with the Palestinians. All Israeli settlements are illegal under international law. Today, Netanyahu also took aim at Iran as opposition members of parliament heckled him. His comments were translated by Al Jazeera.
We will guarantee Israel's military advantage in the region through increasing empowerment. The first mission is to make sure that Iran won't annihilate us with nuclear bombs. And you dismiss it as if it isn't important, as if it's a small thing. Thank you very much, you who supported the nuclear agreement. Why are you shouting? Why don't you listen? You might learn something. Who are you to tell us? Who are you to educate us?
The agreements also include a language endorsing discrimination against LGBTQ people on religious grounds. A right-wing anti-LGBTQ conservative will be head of education. Other agreements grant favors to Itamar Ben-Gvir, a far-right politician who was convicted of inciting racism in 2017. He will be in charge of the National Police Force as a newly created national security minister. Netanyahu and his allies also agreed to push through changes meant to overhaul the country's legal system, specifically a bill that would allow Parliament to overturn Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority of 61 lawmakers. Critics say it's a conflict of interest, noting Netanyahu is on trial for corruption charges, including bribery, fraud, and breaching public trust. Israel's ambassador to France, a Lapid ally, has resigned in protest of the incoming government. In the U.S., roads have reopened in Buffalo as authorities continue searching for people who may have died or remained stranded after last week's deadly blizzard. Officials are still asking people to not drive unless they have to. The National Guard went door to door. 36 deaths have been reported in Buffalo alone. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz says he feared the National Guard wellness checks would find more people who have died.
They are going door to door to do wellness checks in the neighborhoods that lost power, every house. So if your neighborhood lost power, you're going to see a member of the National Guard starting now through the next 48 hours who's going to knock on your door. Is everybody okay? Was there any issues is anybody sick? Things like that. Because we are fearful that there are individuals who may have perished living alone, or two people who are not doing well in an establishment, especially those that still don't have power.
Local officials face questions about the response to last week's storm, insisting they had prepared, but the weather was extraordinary even for a region prone to powerful winter storms. Russia has launched another massive missile strike in Ukraine. Air raid sirens rang out across the country this morning, including in the capital. The mayor of Kiev said numerous explosions took place. 40% of the city is without power. 3 were reported injured, including a teenage girl. The city of Lviv was left with 90% without electricity. Ukraine's Air Force says it intercepted 54 Russian cruise missiles of 69 launched. The attack is the latest in a series of Russian strikes targeting civilian infrastructure like power and water supplies that have increased the Ukrainian population suffering in freezing weather. In the U.S., President Joe Biden has signed legislation aimed at encouraging law enforcement agencies across the country to adopt de-escalation training when encountering individuals with mental health issues as part of an effort to reduce the number of officer-involved fatalities. The House approved the bipartisan legislation last week as one of the final acts of the current Congress. An advocacy center for people with mental illness says people who are untreated are 6 times more likely to be killed during a police encounter than others approached by law enforcement. Long Island prosecutors have launched an investigation into New York Republican Congressman-elect George Santos after revelations surfaced he lied about his heritage, education, and job history as he campaigned for office. Brazil's president-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has appointed an Amazonian activist, Marina Silva, as environment minister. Moves by several countries to mandate COVID-19 tests for passengers arriving from China reflect global concern new variants could emerge in its ongoing explosive outbreak. The U.S., Japan, India, South Korea, Taiwan, and Italy have announced testing requirements for passengers from the country. I'm Christina Onestad reporting for Pacifica Radio.